So when it comes to building out a multiplayer game, this is something I'm trying to still wrap my head around because it actually is kind of hard to get correct. If you notice at the bottom, my ping is about 200, which is pretty slow. And as I walk around, you will notice that once in a while, like my player will kind of snap back into the real position. So what's happening here is that on the front end, we're doing something called client-side prediction, which allows me to basically click D on my keyboard and I instantly move on my client. But in reality, there's a delay between the server and the client, which means that the real position of the player is actually not what I'm seeing on the screen. So to kind of visualize how this works, if you can imagine this is a player. And when I press D on my keyboard, on a single player game, you can instantly just move this forward at a certain rate, right? So every 10 milliseconds or 20 milliseconds, you can move this 1 pixel and it looks smooth and the game feels like you're actually like playing a really fast latency game. When it comes to adding in multiplayer networking, when you try to move to the right, what actually ends up happening is you send a message to the server. I'll just make a server over here and I'll do a browser over here. This will be the client. So the client is basically saying, hey, I want to move to the right. So it takes 100 milliseconds for that message to go from the browser to the server. And then the server will actually move you internally. And then the server will send you back the latest positions of everything. So in our case, we have another 100 milliseconds to wait. But on the client, waiting this long to actually see the new position of the players is a horrible experience, right? If I were to go ahead and go back to my game, let me just go to prediction real quick and reduce the error correction. So now when I press A, notice that there's a delay and then my player actually moves. So I'm press D and then he moves. And the higher latency is, the more of this effect that you'll see where it like takes time to actually move your player and it feels kind of gross. So instead what you can do is something called client-side prediction. So when you press a key, you instantly move. You're still sending your events to the server. The server is still calculating your correct position and it sends back a list of your positions. And then on the client, what you do is you start checking the positions that you were once at against the server positions that are coming in. And if there's any type of difference or error, you go ahead and try to snap or recalculate where the player should be. So this is the position you may see on the client, but in reality, the higher your latency is, the further the drift is between where you see the player and where the actual like server position is for your player, okay? Now, at some point, there's nothing you can really do. Like if you're just having a laggy computer and your network speed is slow, you're not going to be able to fix these issues, right? You basically need to join a game server that's co-located to where you're at so you can have a nice fast latency, but this is basically what's going on behind the scenes. So to kind of simulate in the game, I added a checkbox, show debug visuals, and as I walk around, you'll see there's like a ghost that follows my player. This is actually the server position as the client knows it. Again, the server position might be a little bit skewed from that, but this browser knows the server position to be there. But because we're trying to make the game feel a little bit smoother and not have to snap all the time. So if I were to go and tweak some of these values, like if I change the large error threshold, which is the setting that like forces me to snap back when I'm too far away, you'll notice that the game feels extremely smooth, right? I can run around, I'm not snapping anywhere. Maybe if I sprint, I could snap back, or if I try to run by an object, I could snap back. For example, right there, I kind of switched my direction I was running and it forces me to snap back. But overall, the game feels a lot smoother, but in reality, when you actually have to start fighting things, or when you have to run around the map, you're going to get caught on all these random things. And zombies are going to hit you when you're not even near them. And picking items up is going to be like delayed because you're actually not by the item when you try to pick it up. So there's like a trade-off that you kind of have to figure out. And I do believe maybe based on the ping, I could probably change the error thresholds. But for right now, there's like a setting I've been kind of going at. Now, the other two values I have here, the min lerp speed and max lerp speed, this is basically telling the client to realign to where the actual server position is. So this is why, like, when I stop running, you'll see I kind of like slide back into weird positions. The reason I added this in is because I do think it's important to make sure that when you're not running, like you're in the actual position that the server thinks you're in, especially when it comes to like trying to shoot from a stationary position. And so the higher the value is here, the faster they'll snap back into position. If I were to kind of put this like super low, you'll see that I slowly slide back. In fact, I can even put like 0.5 here. And you'll see at some point, like, I don't even align back into the position because it just kind of stops doing the interpolation here. So again, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how it all kind of works, and I need to find the best values for different latencies so that the game is playable and not like jittery, but also so that you don't get stuck on stuff. I think some other stuff I could probably do is make the hitboxes for the trees a little bit smaller so that it just gives a little bit more grace so you don't get stuck on stuff. Or maybe even make the hitboxes be circles so that it still forces you to kind of walk around them. Right now, all the hitboxes are squares. And so if you're trying to like walk in a particular direction, sometimes you'll get stuck on an object and it, slingshots you back or rubber bands you back. But yeah, I guess leave a comment if there's any suggestions you guys have. I've tried reading up on how like client-side prediction and reconciliation kind of works. I think I kind of understand it, but at the same time, I don't think I have it perfectly locked down. So I need to spend more time just reading about it and making sure I have the implementation well. Because right now, I don't think it's there yet. But I did just want to share that with you all. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this little video about client-side prediction and reconciliation. Other than that, have a good day and happy coding.